Hello, welcome to a brand new episode of Broken Takes. I'm your host, Ali, and today we're going to be talking middle linebackers and who I would draft. So, welcome to the show. Let's get started. Let's get into things. Let's talk about it. Before we talk about the guys that I would target, and I'm going to give you three of the people that I think Miami has a good chance or a probable chance of actually drafting this year in the 2023 draft. I'm going to give you three guys. We'll get into the details and we'll talk about those guys and why I feel that may be a good fit. However, before I do that, let's talk about the middle linebacker position. Now, the middle linebacker position is critical position for any defensive scheme in this league. Let it be the 3-4, 4-3, zero blitz, doesn't matter. The middle linebacker has a role in all of them. However, in the Vic Fangio defense, that role is now the most crucial role on the entire defense. And let's talk about that first. The Fangio defense is a 3-4 alignment that relies on the middle linebacker to be the quarterback of the defense. First, it's essential to understand the role of the middle linebacker in the Fangio defense. The middle linebacker, or Mike, or linebacker, is responsible for making the defensive calls and adjustments. They're the quarterback, as I stated before. Their job is to ensure everybody is lined up correctly, knows their responsibilities. In the Fangio defense, the middle linebacker is responsible to make how do I say this? It's basically they have multiple different roles. You have the role to actually stop the run. They have to make sure that they're hitting the gaps properly, shut down any running lanes, anchoring. They anchor the whole run defense. They're basically the whole anchor of the defense. The rest of the defense, basically, what it allows them to do is allows the rest of the defense to focus on everybody else and whatever else that their role or what they need to get done. Um, Perhaps one of the most crucial roles is that they have to have a commanding presence. They need to be able to communicate to the defensive linemen, the defensive ends, their corners, the safety. They need to call out what they see. Call out the defensive play, making sure that people know their role and whatever adjustments that they need to make. They come through this middle linebacker position. So it's not just all about the athleticism and the different abilities and tangibles that middle linebacker that we're drafting can bring. They have to have the intelligence and the knowledge to pinpoint things that they see on the opposing offense and call it out to everybody respectively, so everybody knows what they're doing. They have to be these smart, athletic, sideline to sideline middle linebacker, in my opinion. That's what would fit in this Vic Fangio scheme. Basically, in conclusion, the middle linebacker has probably the most crucial role, as I've stated many times. The middle linebacker is responsible for making defensive calls, stopping the run, as well as dropping back into coverage more often than you would think. The middle linebacker that we get has to be able to stop the run effectively, but also be very effective in dropping back into coverage, covering the tight end or the running back if they come out for a pass. Those are the things that we have to basically look out for. This middle linebacker position, I can tell you, let it be in the draft or even in free agency, it has to be a home run. And the reason for that is because without the middle linebacker, you know, being effective at middle linebacker, I should say, in the Vic Fangio defense, it can make his whole defense just crumble, right? Everything is predicated on having that type of linebacker, that commanding, smart, focused linebacker that has the ability and tangibles to do both of those things very effectively. So that being said, we know kind of what makes up the middle linebacker or what kind of middle linebacker we may need. Let's actually look into the different people that we could draft in 2023. So let's talk about it. Now I'm gonna pick three guys. Now before I give out the names of the guys, we talk about them. some of the people that you may think may be different. This is based on our draft position, what our needs are, what I think is going to be the most important um, position or picks that we have to make is pretty much the first two picks that we have. The second round at 52nd, and then later on in the third round. Those first two picks are going to predicate how well this draft goes. Now, the guys I'm giving you is who are more likely to draft, and which of those people I think is going to be the best option. So the first guy we're going to talk about, and everybody wants to talk about him, and just bear with me 1 second here. We are going to talk about Mr. Jack Campbell from University of Iowa. Bring him up here. Now, Jack Campbell is 6'5", tall, very tall man, at 246 pounds, 250 pounds, we'll say. He in 2021 as a junior, Campbell played in 14 games and contributed on 972 snaps. He had a solid 95 tackles for 44 assists while making 56 stops. In coverage, he chalked up 3 pass breakups, 2 interceptions, and a decent QB rating targeted of only 85.3. As a pass rusher, he produced 13 total pressures, which included 7 QB hurries, 5 QB hits, and 1 sack on the year. That was 2021. 2022. As a senior, he logged playing time in 12 games and lodged a total of 804 snaps, so less snaps for the Hawkeyes. He also had a solid 77 tackles, 37 assists, and 47 stops. Less tackles, essentially, he had, he had less assists, and his stops. It seems like it dipped a bit. That kind of concerns me when you had a good year and then you drop down a little bit. It kind of concerns me a little tiny bit. While in coverage, Campbell made 1 pass breakup, 2 interceptions, an impressive QB rating when targeted of 70.6. So in pass coverage, he got a little bit better. In as a pass rusher, he tallied 13 total pressures, which included 9 QB hurries, 4 QB hits, and no sacks. So no sacks. It looks like he got better in coverage. His pass rushing kind of dipped a little bit. Overall, he didn't make as many tackles. That could be a lot of different things. Maybe in 2021, he was really the guy having to do a little bit of everything. Whereas in 2022, they brought in new recruits. He had other linebackers to do things for him or other players that contributed more, so he didn't have to do as much. A lot to say there. But let's actually look at some of the strengths, and then we'll look at the weaknesses. So they say he's a sure, violent wrap-up tackler. I already like this. One of the biggest problems we had last season, if you look at it from the linebacker perspective, to the corners, and sometimes even the defensive linemen, tackling was atrocious for us. We had clothesline tackling that never worked. We had tried bumping shoulders to knock person down. No, you need to wrap up, lock your hands together, and bring him down. It does not matter. You do whatever you can to make sure those players are tackled properly. I can't tell you how many times we had people dead to rights and they'd get away from us. It was ridiculous. So that being said, they say he's a violent up tackler with sideline to sideline range. Sideline to sideline is very big for me. That's something a middle linebacker has to have. The speed to go right or left as needed. He's an excellent tackler in space, shows loose hips and the ability to break down and contain runners. Already, I like it so far when it comes to tackling. Can attack the edge with speed. He has the flexibility to dip low under the tackle's reach. That's good to know. Good closing speed, long arms to drag down quarterbacks and running backs. Campbell always tried to plow into the largest piles, has good knack of ending up glued to the ball carrier. That means when he gets the ball carrier, he's not going to let go. I like that a lot about him. Now let's talk about the weaknesses. He's often slow to react and locate the ball against the run. Campbell is a stretch to be able to cover tight ends or running backs in the NFL. That's what I don't like. So they're already saying that he may not be the best when it comes to tight ends or running backs in the NFL. That's something we want this middle linebacker to be good at. I want him to be able to cover the running back, tackle running backs, make sure they disrupt running backs even when they're out going out for a pass or in the short game. I also want to, tight ends are kind of big in this league when it comes to passing. This is a passing league. We need to be able to make sure we get these guys quickly. You guys remember Chicago? I can't even remember the tight end's name. I don't even want to remember, to be honest. But that tight end seemed like the go-to guy. I think he scored like 2 touchdowns against us. We need somebody to be able to bring those guys down, be able to cover them, tackle them properly. Um, these are some things that kind of scare me a little bit. Now, um, you know, this is just one perspective that you hear from. When we have the combine, we're going to see what people have to say. The experts will give a lot more of their thoughts and opinion and analysis, so we get a little bit more of an idea of what he is. But this is a guy I could see the Dolphins going after. He's projected to go anywhere between the first and the third round. So I'm projecting more second round. I think this guy will more than likely could be our first pick of the draft in the second round with number 52. Um, so I mean, this is one of the guys. Will this be the first pick? I don't know. We could definitely go a different position. Who knows? Maybe we'll even go best player available. That's an option as well. We'll talk more about that on another episode. Let's focus on the linebackers. The next guy we are going to talk about, and let me bring him up here. Just bear with me one second. We are going to talk about Mr. DeMarvion Overshawn. DeMarvion Overshawn, University of Texas. Shout out to the Longhorns and my fans that are Longhorn fans, so rock and roll to them. So in 2021, as a senior, Overshawn logged playing time in 11 games, logged a total of 530 snaps for the Longhorns. He also added a solid 52 tackles, 19 assists, and 32 stops. While in coverage, made one pass breakup, no interceptions, and a QB rating target of 111.6. As a pass rusher, he tallied 15 total pressures, which included 9 QB hurries, 4 QB hits, and 2 sacks. In 2021, a fifth-year senior, Overshawn logged a playing time of 12 games and logged a total of 712 snaps. So snaps already, had a lot more. He played one more game than last year. He already had almost 200 more snaps. That's actually pretty good. He also added 67 tackles, 25 assists, and 46 stops. While in coverage, Overshawn made 2 pass breakups, no interceptions, with a QB rating when targeted of 93.7. As a pass rusher, he tallied 23 total pressures, which that increased, which included 15 QB hurries, 5 QB hits, and 3 sacks of the season. That's actually, he looks like he became more of a pure pass rusher at that point rather than coverage. The coverage is, it got a little bit better, but it looks like he's more into the pass rushing. Now, some of the good things they say about him is Overshawn had enough speed to chase and run in pursuit. He has the overall athleticism, hold up in space when dropping into coverage, has the dynamic athleticism to be a force on the edge. He's a fluid mover with bend and dip flexibility and a pass rusher. So they're even saying he's a pass rusher. And Overshawn uses his long arms to ward off blockers. He combines good length and initial quickness, showing the burst to win early and down as a pass rusher. So they're already giving him more props on the pass rushing side. Now, let's flip the switch a little bit. Let's look at the weakness. Size will be a problem. Overshawn doesn't have much in the way of the take on skills. Now, I forgot to mention this. He's 6'4", so he's tall, but he's only, they're saying he's anywhere between 215 to 220 pounds. That's kind of interesting. Um, Now, his 40 time is approximately a 4.5. That's pretty good compared to Jack Campbell and some of the other guys that are a little bit slower than that. So he has the athleticism. He's tall, he's fast, and everything, and definitely has the speed. I just don't know if he has the muscle and the body build we need to be not just a pass rusher, but to be able to stop the run and then turn around and do go out into coverage as well. Because that's something we're gonna have to understand. We're not gonna have middle linebacker just going after the running back every time rushing. They're gonna be out in coverage and they need to be prepared for that. So that's pretty interesting. This is a guy I really can see us getting in the third round with either I believe it's the 77 or the 82nd pick. Don't quote me on the numbers. I just know we have two picks in the third round. Either one of those, I could see us very well drafting this guy. It's a possibility. If Jack Campbell, let's say we pass up on him and we go corner, the next pick, I'm predicting in the second or the first third round pick, it's going to be a linebacker. One or the two, it will be. I know a lot of people are saying, well, we don't have to worry about that. We're going to go get Tremaine Edmonds or somebody in free agency. Yeah, we probably will, but we're also going to draft one in the draft. You always want to make sure, specifically with a Vic Fangio defense, you need to make sure you have it covered. Let it be, with the free agency and then having depth brought in from the draft. This guy could be a starter in the NFL. He definitely could if he put a little bit more weight on, get a little bit more muscular. But having that veteran free agent guy ahead of him, I think this would be a good guy to look at that point. Now, where Jack Campbell, I could see him coming in and actually starting right away. So he's an option definitely as well. There's a guy I actually kind of like a little bit better. We'll be talking about him next. So that being said, let's go to that guy. The next guy is Dion, and I apologize, Mr. Henley, if I don't say your name correctly. I'm sorry. Dion Henley. This guy is really interesting from Washington State. Now, there's one knock on him, and this is my own personal knock. Actually, I think they may have actually bring it up here as well. He's only 6'1", 230 pounds. Now, some people say he's 6'1", some people say he's 6 foot. Um, is it such a worry? Not really. I don't really think so. Um, I think there's situations where you can, there are players in this league that have shown they can play out of that. You know, Zach Thomas was not the tallest middle linebacker, and look at him. He's a Hall of Famer now, Pro Bowler, multiple time Pro Bowler, Hall of Famer. Roquan Smith, not the tallest guy. He was actually on more on the shorter end. You know, these are some things that you can look at. This is just one thing that I've heard people say he may not have the size. Let's talk more about him though. So, oh, my cats are fighting. I'm sorry, cat fight in the side here. Some entertainment. All right. So in 2021, as a senior, Henley logged playing time in 12 games and logged a total of 676 snaps for the Wolfpack. He also added a decent 79 tackles, 19 assists, 40 stops while in coverage. He also made one pass breakup, four interceptions, and an outstanding QB rating when targeted of only 39.0%. That is amazing. As a pass rusher, he tallied 10 total pressures, which included 8 QB hurries, 2 QB hits, and no sacks on the season. That was in 2021. Now, in 2022, Henley transferred to Washington State with a fifth-year senior for the Cougars. And in 2022, he played 12 games, played the same amount of games, took part in 667 snaps. So almost the same amount of snaps, almost. He also added up 74 tackles, 18 assists, and 40 stops. Almost the same exact numbers. Almost. Just shy of putting up the same exact numbers as he did the year before. So already the kid is already showing me he's consistent. I like it. I like it a lot. Now, while in coverage, Henley made one pass breakup, one interception, and a QB rating of target of 101.8. So he only had one pass breakup, one interception. They kind of picked on him a little bit. That could be because he may not be used to the defense. He was only there 1 year. There's a lot of different reasons, that you can look at that. Now, as a pass rusher, though, he tallied 18 total pressures, which included 10 QB hurries, three quarterback hits, and a solid five sacks. So his pass rushing, picked up where he dropped off on the coverage. He got better at pass rushing. That tells me he actually can, you know, make the face adversity where he's not doing something well. He makes up for it in elsewhere. I like that about him. Now, the talent is there sideline to sideline as a playmaker. This is some of the strengths. He's very good. He looks the part. Good height and thick, muscular build, long arms, good overall athleticism, and straight in line speed. A bit stiff, but makes the clean open field tackle. Good effort in pursuit. Handles misdirection with with quick change of direction ability, comes downhill quickly against the run when Henley has an open lane. These are some of the things I like about him. He actually, the misdirection, he handles it very well. That's something that we may have to do as well. Now, here's some of the things that they say about him. This is where that size can come to an issue. Henley is on the small side and struggles to slip blocks. He'll need to be covered up in order to make plays. He'll need to be covered up to be effective. He's not the kind of guy you can line up in the pass rush and have him bend the edge. He's limited to shooting through gaps. As a pass rusher, Henley lacks the ideal length to consistently win off the edge, even if he manages to um, his, improve his at times sloppy hand usage. So he has some sloppy hands. He doesn't necessarily have the length to play the edge. These are some of the things that they are saying about him. I've seen the guy on tape. Go watch the tape yourself. You can go to YouTube, check out highlights. Um, and the kid looks good. He looks fast. He can do a lot of things well. He showed he can, do very well in coverage in 2021, and then he switched up. Well, I can do very good things as a pass rusher as well. These are a lot of things that you can look at. He's fast. He's about a 4.5 guy. That's about what they're saying when it comes to the 40 time. So it's pretty interesting. We'll see. We'll see. Who we draft now. Do I like this guy? If we don't get Campbell, and let's say we draft a corner, and then in the third round, let's say the next linebacker available is this guy. He may very well be the guy we could draft. We could definitely go after him. Um, I think that any of the three guys that I mentioned here are definitely options. Now, were there other people we could look at? Yes, there are other people we can look at. There's Trent Simpson, for example. He's a freak athlete. I've heard some rumors that he can run the 40 and 4.3. Um, I just don't think he'll be there. I think guys like that, guys like, and I apologize if I don't say your last name correctly, Henry Tututu, I think they're going to be gone in the first round. That's my opinion. I think we have a realistic chance that any of these three guys dropping to us in either the first or either in the second or the third round. And I think in either one, we're going to take at least one of these three guys. That's my opinion. But anyway, tell me what you guys think. Put your comments in the chat or even in the comments below. Really appreciate it. Shout out to everybody. This is Broken Takes, a TFTG production. I'm out. Everybody have a great night.